What's one villain that was supposed to be sympathetic but failed to spark any sympathy? Those dwarves in Chrono Cross. They slaughtered a bunch of innocent little fairies, and we're supposed to feel sorry for them. Screw that. This may be my opinion, but I wasn't a fan of Robert Callahan from Big Hero 6 after I found out Tadashi died for nothing. Like, at least you got your daughter back, but Hero can never get his brother back. Totally agree. He killed the most wonderful and loving and adorable big brother in the world. I do like that they didn't play up a big emotional reunion with him and Abigail though. They're like, nope. Right to jail. Should have tried to figure out if she was alive first. Although, to be fair, he didn't purposely plan to kill Hero's brother. He started the fire to fake his death, not kill people. He probably expected everyone to escape. It's still a huge fire though. Even if he expected everybody to escape, it's insanely dangerous and reckless. Yeah, I remember thinking, I mean, that sucks about your daughter, but you didn't have to murder so many people like that. You're also telling me that taking that whole company down like that was the best thing he could come up with? All those resources and his brain power, all he could think of is, yeah, going to burn it all down. Grief makes some smart people stupid and some stupid people scary. That was his mistake. The main villain of Incredibles 2. Man, I really don't like that character. If my parents didn't rely on heroes so much, they'd still be alive. No, they'd still be alive if the superheroes weren't banned after years of effective service. Man, I'm still hella disappointed that the brother didn't end up being the secret villain. The whole time I thought he was trying to manufacture an excuse for heroes to come back, and seemed so faux genuine. Boo it. Apparently he was just the nice one, I guess. Skeptical. I'm the opposite. It was so telegraphed that one, if not both of the siblings, were an antagonist. I was relieved when the brother wound up just genuinely being a gullible but lovable idealist. I don't know if this has been mentioned, but the mom from Godzilla, King of the Monsters' son, dies in a flashback at the beginning of the movie during Godzilla's first arrival. She wanted to wake up monsters which could cause the same grief she faced to people she hadn't even met. Her motivation was also some generic humans are an evil species stuff. By the end of the movie, she is indirectly responsible for a crapload of deaths, and her death scene is laced with sad music throughout, as if I was supposed to feel bad for this woman. Edit. Holy crap, this blew up. I found her absolutely irredeemable. Honestly, I spent much of that movie hoping her daughter would bail on her, and she'd die. By the end of the movie, I felt a great relief at her fate. If they were aiming for redeemed villain, they missed the mark by a mile. She had a change of heart because Ghidorah wasn't an Earth-created titan. She had a change of heart because the genocide that was going to happen wasn't exactly like the genocide she planned out. I loved Charles Dance's character just being like, I'm sorry, what did you think was going to happen after we triggered a series of global extinction events? Both villains from WW84. The fact that they basically get away with this with no repercussions is even worse. I really think Cheetah shouldn't have become Cheetah in WW84, she should have been introduced and been an ally for WW through the film, and the next film could have turned her into Cheetah. It would have carried more emotional weight to watch a character that we became attached to lose her way and become a monster. Spider-Man 3 problems all over again. Too many villains. Holy F, this is the best one. At the end when he hugged his son, I was like, effing really? Nobody's going to do anything about this guy? He just lives happily ever after? The Son of Green Goblin, who becomes the new Green Goblin in the early 2000s Spider-Man trilogy movies, I forget which one. It's like, he's angry at Spider-Man because Spidey killed his father. Only, his father was a psychopathic murderer and totally insane. There's just no sympathy factor there. Edit. Harry definitely knows his father was Green Goblin because he finds his father's Green Goblin stuff. If he didn't do the math and figure out, oh hey, dad is Green Goblin, then it was because he was willfully ignorant. Coming from a die-hard Spider-Man trilogy fan, the biggest villain in those movies was Bernard. The butler for the Osborns. He cleaned the Green Goblin's wounds that night, saw that they clearly came from his own glider, and didn't tell Harry until the end of the third movie that Spider-Man is innocent, By then Harry already found out that Peter was Spider-Man. I know it's not out yet, but I fail to see how Disney can make Cruella de Vil redeemable whatsoever. The trailers look like they're embracing her evil, which I'm all for. Didn't really like seeing her suddenly being a combat master though. A crazy fashion designer who of course can dispatch security guards like nothing. If Disney trailers are any indication, I'd half bet that may be the case for 30 minutes of the movie before turning it into some underdog redemption story. I watched the trailer and I can already tell you everything that will be in the film. Cruella is an up-and-coming fashion designer who works for some famous, bitchy fashionista. But she's mean to Cruella, so she takes revenge on her by stealing her Dalmatians. The Dalmatians escape in the end and get adopted by a family who raises them, and they have 101 puppies. That's where the animated films continues from, the end. If I'm not at least 90% correct about my prediction, I'll send you $100 and an apology letter. Can you make it $101? Vin Diesel and his girlfriend in Fast and the Furious. We're supposed to feel sorry for them when the truck driver defends himself? Nap. Not happening. Terrible, terrible writing. My favorite thing about the F and F series. Movie 1, they were stealing TV/VCR combo units. In 2001. I love how silly that premise is. He's literally running a gang of thugs, but because he's cool and has family values, we're supposed to think of him as the good guy. He's not the good guy in that one, Brian is. That's why he's not even in the second and only shows up for less than a minute in the third. It's not until they basically reboot him and the family from the fourth one on that he and the others are supposed to be good. I enjoy F and F by working on the theory that the cast knows how nut crazy the franchise has gotten, and are just rolling with it. I'm 99% sure Vin Diesel regards it as a D&D session got completely out of control. DM, your love interest is hurtling out across the freeway from a crash tank, what do you do? Vin, roll for agility to catch her midair and land safely on another car. Vin rolls a 20. Dr. Smith. If they'd killed that effer in Season 1, the Jupiter 2 would be safely back on Earth. Pedro Pascal in Wonder Woman 1984. I think because he had a little kid, viewers were supposed to be sympathetic or something. That movie was a mess. His acting was solid, it's just the writing for that movie effing sucked. What? You didn't enjoy them playing dress up then flying a museum jet through fireworks to Egypt? Jigsaw always just came off as a pretentious jerk to me. I know now everything from old horror movies is going to age well, it punishing a guy for self-harming is just a bridge too far for me. Pei ch ni ka li he di ki ll and yo ni, people talking about a man who locked someone in a room filled with razor wire and gave him a time limit to crawl through it to escape. Marla Grayson from I Care a Lot. It was such a fun and interesting movie for the first half, but as soon as they tried to make us sympathize with this dreadful character, the film lost me completely. And spoilers, but to have both her and her girlfriend separately kidnapped by the gangster family and neither of them dying was just a terrible plot development. So glad she got shot at the end. I've seen people try to turn serial killers into sympathetic figures. For example, Jeffrey Dahmer and how he became an alcoholic as a teenager because of his troubled home life and struggles with his sexuality. Dude killed 17 people and tried making sex zombies by pouring acid into holes he drilled in their heads while they were still alive. And ate them. After drugging and raping them, don't forget. I find the people that worship the Columbine shooters to be effing disturbing as all hell. My best friend went to Virginia Tech, and while we were hanging out back home during the summer after the shootings, one of our other friend's girlfriend decided to go off on a rant about how much the shooter was a hero. My best friend lived in the dorm where the shootings first began and lost 2 friends because of that effing butthole, and even after telling her that, at his own house, she said she didn't care. I understand that she was trying to be an edgy goth, but the lack of empathy it takes to look someone in the face that just had friends murdered and say you don't care to maintain your image is just inhuman to me. The Phantom from Phantom of the Opera. Everyone sympathizes with him because his actions are very theater-based. WTF does that mean? You expect me to sympathize with this monster who murdered the whole cast just because he wanted a girlfriend? He should have worn a fedora instead of that mask. Masquerade. Waifu pillows on parade. Was he really meant to be sympathetic? As I saw it, he started off as seemingly sympathetic, but it turned out to be a manipulative act in spite of his true selfishness. I've only seen it a couple times, so I could be remembering it wrong. Honestly, for me it's just creepy how utterly obsessed he is with a girl half his age. He stalks her, lies to her, manipulates her, kidnaps her, makes a freaking mannequin of her in a wedding dress. Pretty much any of the MCU villains whose motivation amounted to Tony Stark ruined my life. I don't think Mysterio was supposed to be sympathetic. I think they made it clear that he was totally 100% mentally unstable. Carly Morgenthau in Falcon and Winter Soldier. She was supposed to be fighting for the poor, but we never saw the conditions pre-blip she was trying to get back to, or how randomly killing people was supposed to help. Or for that matter how No Borders was going to add 50% housing/jobs/etc. capacity. They didn't do a great job with this storytelling at all. Yeah, so much telling instead of showing it best. And frequently just trust us. These people have a plan. There's a theory that there was supposed to be a pandemic-related subplot that was cut out because of COVID-19. Cells at work. Not feeling bad for cancer, sorry. I think they were trying to express how different cancer is from a virus because it's just doing what it's programmed to do within the body a little too well, but I can see how it would fall wrong for many people. That chick from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But maybe only because how blatantly forced and manufactured that sympathy was. They really didn't want to portray her as an actual villain, but more like a misguided fighter with a good purpose and make a pseudo-martyr out of her. And things only became worse because we had no backstory on her, no character building, nothing. She ultimately fell flat. I found Captain America 2.0 to be infinitely more interesting as a villain. She needed a flashback episode. Maybe have her capture Sam and monologue at him about what things were like during the blip. It would have really helped explain her cause to the viewers instead of just saying things were better during the blip. A lot of people's answers to this question seem kind of misinformed. Just because a villain is given sympathetic elements doesn't actually mean you are supposed to really sympathize with them. That seems weird, but the reason behind that is it fleshes the villain past their villain role, as in, many times the point isn't to make you sympathize with the villain but to simply expand the character beyond his role as a villain. Cruella de Vil in the new movie. They want her to be the #girl boss of our time, empowering, etc. The woman wanted to kill and skin puppies for a coat. There's absolutely nothing respectable you can spin from that, sorry. If you want to see a good Cruella backstory, look at Once Upon a Time. She was a straight sociopath. No tragic life, nothing. She was just born insane. The dog coat she wears is a trophy. She wears it to remember about she used her mother's own dogs to kill and eat her mother alive. Which was a surprising change from the typical had awful parents backstories for most other villains in that show. They literally did a joke about that in a play a few years back. The guys who did a Harry Potter musical had a play called Twisted that was essentially Wicked, but for Aladdin. It makes about as much sense as the original in concept in my opinion, but the title track has a bunch of other Disney villains telling the stories of how they suffered a similar demonization. Scar was a progressive who overthrew the rather tyrannical Mufasa, only to be framed as the bastard he was in the film when Simba retook the throne. Ursula was the rightful ruler of the sea before being overthrown, etc. Yet for all of that, when Cruella shows up and announces her desire for the Dalmatian coat, the others are horrified and immediately shoo her away. Parody is no match for reality. I only wish to have a coat made out of puppies. Oh my god, no. Get the F out of here. I love that show. I could get a job, but I'm not some fascist yuppie jerk. I steal everything. Aladdin. I just want to be free. You slaves could never understand. Jasmine. The Phantom of the Opera. He's a self-pitying entitled psychopathic incel who's all boo-hoo people are mean to me because I'm ugly but actually, is a creepy controlling butthole who murders people and only got away with crap because he was talented. Pretty much all the Britannians from Code Geass. They were all guilty of numerous war crimes but got off scot-free because the show wanted a happy ending where everyone is smiling. Yuffie. Michael Scott in The Office Season 1. They fixed it afterwards, but in the first season he just sucked. Not exactly a villain but comes off as it in the beginning. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.